Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it, and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we're discussing what might be the last opportunity to get into the Zenith-era Daytona without paying a king's ransom. These watches, the two-tone examples, are spectacular timepieces with all the virtues of the 1990s Zenith El Primero powered Rolex Daytona. Really the first generation of the Daytona to become a phenomenon, adding a chronometer certificate, screw-down crowns, 100-meter water resistance, a sapphire crystal, an all-metal tack, and an automatic winding movement transformed the Daytona back in 1988, but the two-tones have not quite taken off in the market just yet. Don't wait for that to change. Check out this video and then take a look, because the 40mm 16523 is a glorious timepiece, especially with this champagne gold dial. On my 16cm circumference wrist, the 40mm watch is nice and slim. I measured it at only 12.2mm thick, so it will slide underneath any dress cuff or tight sleeve, especially with that conical bezel profile. Lug-to-lug, it's nice and compact, especially with the pivoted end links of this generation of bracelet. 47mm, so that's the total distance across the wrist, very compact. I can recommend it for a wrist perhaps as small as 13cm circumference, and the spacing between the lugs is 20mm if you want to switch things up. The bracelet fitted to this example is a 78393 with 403 end links. Let me pop this one off. The watch itself is a W serial, so 1994, and the bracelet also features a W code, so 1994 and 95. These two pieces were born together. You can see that the bracelet is the classic Oyster design, albeit with the pivoted end link and the hollow centers. You can see right through them. The important thing when buying one of these older Rolexes is to expect that rather charming Rolex rattle. That's inherent to the design, but also check for extended play, and this one doesn't have it. It has all of its original structural integrity, and you can see the removable links even then were fixed by screws, so you could size this one quite easily. Flip lock system to keep everything secure, and then you've got the straight through gold stripe, as well as several interior anchoring points to change the stationing of the bracelet inside the clasp, so you can do some fine tuning of the size without removing or adding links. All of it in excellent condition. You can see the definition sharp, the contrast is high. Jumping back to the case, this is an element of the 1988 to 99 Daytona that really hasn't changed into the year 2019. The main change you'll note between a Daytona from this era and a Daytona from the 1990s is that the modern Daytona has a little bit of a flatted foot to the underside of its lug, and this 90s Daytona doesn't have that, but it's almost impossible to see on the wrist. So this, for all intents, has every distinctive styling cue of the modern Daytona, but with the rarity that comes with the Zenith movement. Now, you can see there is a tack in outstanding condition, and these little wells are lacquered, so when these watches wear down over time, you lose that lacquer. You can see just how sharp the definition is right here. Definition is outstanding, and the same could be said for the dial, which is essentially unmarred in any way. Now, it's an original Rolex tritium dial, but with spectacular tone-on-tone contrasting registers. You can see the constant seconds at 9 o'clock, a hallmark of the Zenith-powered Daytona. Then you have the yellow gold applique indices, yellow gold hands, yellow gold Rolex 5-point coronet, and of course the screw-down crowns, which gave this generation of the Daytona 100-meter water resistance. And the nice thing is, this generation of Daytona is not so old at this point that you can't still use it the way it was originally intended. It'll still pass a high-end water test, so you can swim with this watch. Inside the case, Oyster case back screwed in, there is a Rolex modified Zenith El Primero. Rolex calls it the caliber 4030, and it was built in a special department at Zenith during the 90s expressly to Rolex's specifications. Still 31 joules in automatic winding bidirectional action. It is a 28,800 vibration per hour El Primero rather than 36,000 because Rolex wanted to use more conventional escapement lubricants and also potentially head off any premature wear. That proved to be unfounded. There's no premature wear in the high-beat El Primero, but Rolex wanted to be double tough and double safe. Rolex also redesigned the winding system, removing many of the superfluous springs of the rather delicate Zenith system to create their own Perpetual winding system that's easier to service and tougher in practice. They also changed the regulator from a mobile stud index to a free-sprung architecture, and they replaced the flat hairspring with an overcoil, a handmade Breguet overcoil, and they adjust the watch in 5 positions and certify it as a Swiss chronometer. All of that with a column wheel and a lateral clutch, so it has a very crisp chronograph action. Just about the only feature it doesn't have is the extra roughly 20 hours of power reserve of the in-house caliber, the vertical clutch, and the hacking seconds. But in every regard, the Zenith is the one to own because production was constrained by Zenith's production capacity. Zenith, unable to make even 50,000 movements a year during the 90s, split that production between the Rolex project, other customers for its calibers, the Elites, and of course Zenith's own El Primero branded chronographs. So these watches are quite rare by any standards, and the two-tone's rarer still. You can see this one and take it home on the watch box. The two-tone El Primero Zenith Daytona, you can see service replacement Rolex yellow gold hands and the rest of the dial in dead tritium.